Hi everybody, today we're going to draw an image from a bird's point of view. It's called bird's eye view. It's from above. It doesn't have to be straight above like aerial view from an airplane, but it's just above our normal viewpoint. So looking down on something, you could think of it as like being in like the 10th floor of a skyscraper and you can see down from the top of a roller coaster, from the top of a mountain. So you're looking down, but you're not looking straight down. So for this one, we're going to draw a waterfall in the mountains. So I'm going to start with some forms, which are three-dimensional shapes. This is a rectangular prism. Taking this angle down. It won't be a complete one, but it will be enough to get the idea. This is a nice cliff. Dropping down and over. We can go all the way over if we want to, and I'm not quite sure if this is wide enough, but I think it'll be fine. I think I can get the concept I want. And then I'm going to have one over here. It'll be rounded, a little bit taller. If you've been to Yosemite Valley, it'll look a little bit like Washington's Column. Though this is not from Yosemite Valley at all. It's from my imagination. But often our imagination pulls from things that we're familiar with. Then I'm going to create my horizon line. It's going to be a bit rounded. Think of this as an edge of a meadow in the valley below, down here. And then this is the basic form or shapes that we're going to use. Up here, I'm going to start adding where the water is going to come down. It'll jet out past that curve a little bit. It won't be completely smooth. If you've ever been to a large waterfall in the spring, it puffs out and it will sound very loud, like it looks like lace, but you can't capture it on like photograph at all. It's really amazing. It's something you have to see in person. But we can get the general idea of the puffiness that happens during on waterfalls during the high water flow times, because water in waterfalls is seasonal, at least in California, because we have a Mediterranean climate and we have a wet season and a dry season. And so we have the snowpack, and then when that melts, we get a lot of water. But by August, all that snow is pretty much gone. And so we don't have the same volume as we do in May and June for some of these really spectacular places like Yosemite Falls or Bridalveil Falls. So I'm just getting the general idea. I know I want this to turn and drop down here. And this is an area that takes a bit of problem solving, but I'll get the general feel of it. I might have to make it bigger. And then to start closing this space, I'm going to add some boulders, because when you have these large rocky cliffs, you have generally a lot of boulders down that have fallen because of what happens during freeze thaw. During the winter, the water will freeze in granite rock, and then it will create little fissures. It'll increase the space because ice is larger than water. So it goes into the cracks, freezes, and then it slowly pulls the rock apart by expanding. And then as it thaws, the rock cracks are a little bit farther apart each year, and then eventually you'll have like the rocks falling. So that's why you have rock falls. It doesn't have to just be in the summer, but it happens a lot of the reason because of the freeze thaw cycle that happens in the mountains So I'm going to go ahead and add some boulders here as well, just capturing the corner, this space here. And I'll probably create more shapes, like this one's in front. So we're using the concept of overlapping. We'll add shading, which is also known as value. Okay. And then I've turned the water and I have a large space here, so I need to maybe puff that out here and then go like this. And I'll have to problem solve this area probably quite a few times, and so I won't worry about it too much right now. Things aren't always perfect the first time or the 5th time or the 100th time. You just have to keep on working it until it is the way you want it to be. So down below will be a meadow. And then I'll also have some mountains in the background. If I feel like this is a bit high and I don't want to deal with that much space, I'm just going to go ahead and lower my horizon line a bit. But maybe this is where the tops of my distant mountains are going to be. And again, we'll have some overlapping. And then I'll start adding some shading. This could be a meadow. Add some zigzaggy trees on the edge. We don't want them invading our meadow. We want to keep our meadows nice and open. And then I'll likely have a stream that's coming off of this waterfall. So maybe this is whooshing over the edge. And our stream will be down below in this meadow. It just goes off the page, helping us see that there's something down lower. I don't think I need this one here. Okay, so we'll go back and add some more shading, some value. Up here, I'm going to have some trees to help us really understand that we are up high. And you can do the zigzag method, or you can they don't have to match. You can create some trees, they can overlap a little bit, or it's really just to get the idea of the shape of the pine trees. We're at a higher altitude, and with this landscape, there's generally pine trees. If it's a really high area, you could have really bent trees, like because the snow has bent them over the time that they have formed. But we'll just go ahead and create some straight trees, and you can see the sky between. I'm going to add a little bit of soil, like the rest of this is granite, but sometimes there's these areas that are soil, and then it's probably going up a little bit. So there's probably mountains outside of that view. I need to add some dark lines here for shading, and I'm going to switch pencils in a minute to one where I can shade better with, and maybe go back and forth between a mechanical pencil or a sharp pencil and then just a regular number 2 pencil. And where things come together, there's usually a shadow. There's likely lots of moss on here, so if you were doing this in color, you would have all these grays and blues and greens in this area. And again, if we're using photo references, we want to use at least 3 so that we're not copying things directly. You want to make sure you're using your own imagination. It's really good to be able to draw what you see, but you also want to be able to draw your own unique ideas. Adding some quick texture. I'm going to switch to my other pencil so it's faster. So over here, I've got top. I'm going to parallel the line of the shape, and then we're going to drop down like this. So again, so it's paralleling this direction and then this direction. And that way you can see the shift and change in the landscaping feature. I have the shading right here already. I'll just add a little bit of texture because rocks are not smooth unless they've been in the ocean for a long, long time or underwater. Water will smooth a rock, but out in the air, there's a lot of things that make them nice and rough. Over here, we'll add an opening. And there's some cool things about rocks too, because like sometimes like a big chunk of rock will fall off, and on El Capitan, they have all kinds in Yosemite Valley. The climbers name these shapes so that they know where they are on their climbing route. So they have North America, because one of the areas that has sloughed off when the rock fall looks like North America, so that's pretty fun. So it's fun to add these features to your own rocks out of your imagination. So I'm just gonna add a medium tone gray, shade, pull some whites back out. Another thing to see is just a sunset on rocks with the alpenglow. It's spelled alpine, but alpenglow on the rocks. It makes them all yellow and orange and coral colors. So that's a really nice thing to see if you ever have a chance to go to the mountains at sunset. Adding a few lines to create texture to make it interesting looking. This is really linear, so I want to break that up a bit. And then probably add a little bit of that puffiness in here. Bring these lines back. And we'll work on the water. That'll take a bit of time. Right here is easy. Just do a little shading for our meadow. A little texture in our mountains. These ones can be snow-capped because there's likely snow. And then our creek there. And then I'll add some more shading to these rocks. And I'll work on my trees a bit, adding some shadows. You can go in and add a few lines, like which trees in the front, zigzags or waves. Bring out some of those trunks. Don't be afraid of a dark pencil, and don't be afraid of scribbling. Controlled scribbling, I should say. You don't want to scribble all over your page. So here we have some thunderclouds coming in, big puffs. So we get the shapes, we get the ideas. Can again darken areas. Adding some lightness, adding some darkness. Not being afraid to have things not be perfect. I'm just going to add a little bit of sky. And then I'll go lighter towards here. Blend it. Take away that old horizon line. And then I need to add a little bit of water, like features to the water, and then it's all done. So I want this to look like it's rushing up and over. I'm doing it out of my imagination, so it's not quite going to be perfect. We have our puffy, 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 puffy. This would be the mist that sprays this all and gets us completely soaking wet. And then it feels so nice on a hot sunny day. And here's where it's rushing over the edge to the next level of this waterfall. It's cascading down. And splashing these rocks, so splashes. And then down, 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 adding more whites back in and back to the grays. This probably would be really white, so what we'd have to do is add value from the meadow, but it's going to be a bit tricky, so let's see. So contrasting, using the other areas to allow that space to be white. A little shadowing. Pull back the whites again. All right, I think it's pretty good. All right, awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for drawing with me today. I hope you enjoyed drawing a waterfall in the mountains from a bird's eye view, and have a great rest of your day. Keep drawing, and thanks for drawing with me. Bye.